It's locked, all right. I can't believe I'm doing this. My dear sister, I don't know if I have the strength. Since I can't reveal myself to my mother now, I must find a discreet spot to attend the ceremony. Mother, why have you come here? This is proving far worse than I imagined. Avery, I leave you to care for my mother. I'm in no state to comfort her. My mother would die if she were to see me in this state. I must wait.
I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. We commend unto thy hands of mercy, most merciful Father, the soul of our sister departed, and we commit her body to the ground. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Why kill my Mary and stick her here in this cold, god-awful place?
These are the legal requirements for the epidemic, madam.
Oh, Avery, I feel so tired. Please take me home.
Yes, madam.
Oh, Mary. What have I done? If I could only change one thing. One thing. This is a nightmare.
Jonathan, there is nothing you can do but accept it.
What brings you here?
I thought you could use the company. I am so sorry for your loss, Jonathan.
She was a good person. Vibrant, full of life. She was kindness incarnate, my Mary.
You're a good person, Jonathan. And a young Ekon. A newborn cast into the night without so much as a candle to guide your way.
She had been scouring the most dangerous parts of London in search of me. And it led to her death.
Jonathan, don't.
I still hear her last thoughts. They echo in my head. Her mind shattered, and it haunts me.
Jonathan, stop. Listen carefully. You must come to terms with this. You must learn to live with what happened.
How is it possible? Tell me. Is it so easy to take a life every night, and then just smile and nod at those you spared?
Don't you see? You're doing the work of our enemies, feeding your remorse. We are weakest when we grieve, and the guilt blurs our senses.
And so this is why you're here. To warn me. You've felt this pain yourself. You too have endured this.
I don't want to lose you, Jonathan. I've lost so many friends. Loved ones I cherished. Pray for Mary's forgiveness, if you must.
Thank you, my lady. I will.
Good. But be careful. If I found you here, others may too.
What should I do then?
St. Mary's Church is not far from here. Go there and make your peace. Find the solace you need.
My lady wants me to confess.
No, Jonathan. It's you who wants to confess, I think.
And off to church he goes, a newborn seeking divine consent to lick the blood from the soft and pointy crown.
Who are you? Make yourself known.
Newborn, you reek of guilt and pointless compassion. Shed your skin, forget your old weaker self.
What do you want from me?
Ascalon does not approve of lone wolves who bring unwanted eyes to our pastures.
So your name is Ascalon?
Ascalon's will is vampire law. Learn them, abide by them, or I shall return as your judge and jury.
These immortals try my patience with their plans and unsolicited counsel.
Steady, boys! We've got one of them here!
Yes? What is it that you want?
I'm sorry to disturb you at such a late hour.
No worries, my son. I'm still quite awake, having just returned from a funeral.
Yes, I know. I've forgotten what I wanted. I don't know.
May I help you, child? You seem somewhat perturbed.
I haven't the strength to cross the threshold. I wish to pray, to cleanse my soul.
The church is shut by order of the bishop. But I'm still the vicar of St. Mary's, if that is any use to you, my son.
You seem to me a good soul, Vicar. But this is a personal matter.
There are no secrets from God, my son. If your heart needs comfort, consider me your chapel. For I can be as silent as stone.
I've words for one departed. They're not for living ears to hear.
Your eyes burn with rage, yet I see the pain that lies beyond. I am here to lighten the burden of all God's creatures. Whatever you tell me is between us and the Lord.
Very well, priest, as you seem quite adamant.
Open your heart, my son. Tell me what burdens you. With whom do you wish to speak?
She was my sister.
You seem so troubled by the loss of this girl. What happened to her?
She was murdered.
I see. And how are you feeling, my son?
I feel responsible. The pain is consuming me.
I have a final question for you, my son. This is of the utmost importance.
Ask your question, Vicar.
What words would you like to say to your poor sister?
I killed you. There's no excuse. My dear Mary, forgive me.
You have been heard, my son, and your burden will lighten if your words are sincere. Go in peace now, and live your life in the way she would have wanted.
There. I confessed to that vicar. Do I feel better? Only time will tell.
Lively!
Remorse and pain are precious when binding you to the earth.
You. I remember you.
Fear be gone. I would harm no child of my making.
This is your doing. You made me. Made me this creature. What are you?
I am the land. You are our champion.
You selected me. Chose me.
As shall my children yet to come.
What is it you seek?
This age is sickly. An ancient poison, an older rage, brewed in a cauldron newly forged.
This has something to do with the epidemic.
Seek truth, my champion. Defeat the serpent of knowing with iron spur.
I've had enough of others making decisions for me, pretending to know how I should feel or behave. So the vampire who made me is some sort of disembodied entity? Or was he just projecting this vision in my mind? Maybe Edgar can help me with this one.
Are you all right, Miss Shun?
My name is Xiao Shun. This is the proper way to address someone in my country.
I do apologize, Xiao Shun. Are you all right?
Yes, I am. This is the only place where I can find some kind of serenity. Some way to remember my dear Matthew.
Have you recent news of Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
I heard that she used to help the refugees, but unfortunately you don't see her around anymore.
Are you on your own? Do you have any friends or family who you could be with?
I have family and friends, but I need to be here alone. One day maybe I'll go back to them, but not now. I need silence. And I need sadness.
I've seen many deaths in my life, and we all grieve in our own way. Some stay silent, or need to shout. Others need company, and some just can't stand it.
Thank you for your sincere words, Dr. Reed. I sense you trying to help me, even if I don't quite understand why.
Tell
Tell me how your husband died, Xiaoshu.
Matthew died of the Spanish flu, like so many others. It's a mundane cause of death these days, but for me it meant the end of the world.
At this time, there is so little medical science can do to defeat this terrible epidemic. I'm truly sorry.
The worst thing is not his death, even if it tears me apart. The worst is not to have seen it coming, to have lost him so quickly, even before realizing it.
Did he hide his condition from you?
Matthew was a smiling type, a happy sort. Everything that I am not. Did he laugh at his death to come, or did he not realize what was going to happen? I'll never know.
The Spanish flu may be the worst disease mankind has ever faced. Why are you blaming yourself?
You don't understand. I didn't know he was so sick. I didn't realize the gravity of his situation until it was too late.
As harsh as this sounds, we are all equally vulnerable to this awful disease. It can take the strongest man in just a couple of days.
I never said goodbye to Matthew. We never realized how bad it was. We laughed about it even. He always made me laugh. Now I don't have enough tears to shed.
Are you a doctor yourself? Is this why you feel so guilty for not saving your sick husband?
No, I am not. But I still need to blame someone for Matthew's death. And who else, if not his wife, who did not see it coming?
I'm a physician. One of the best in the country. But I was unable to save my own sister, Mary. She died in my arms.
Why tell me this? Is it supposed to make me feel better?
No. But I felt I should share it with you, since she is buried here too.
May I ask what caused the death of your sister?
You could say she was also killed by a terrible disease. A disease I have sworn to fight and cure, no matter how long it takes.
Thank you for sharing that with me, Dr. Reed. Maybe it's time we start to rebuild our lives, you and I.
You realize you can't stay here forever, don't you? Eventually, you'll have to leave the cemetery.
Why? Why should I go? Since this is the only place I can find peace of mind.
But you're not dead. There is a difference between visiting the dead and staying with them.
You sound like you're no stranger to the pain I feel.
Let's just say, I too have a good reason to visit cemeteries at night.
Please accept my condolences for your loss then, Dr. Reed.
You should go home now.
I think you're right. Cemeteries are for the dead, for they need silence too. Thank you for your honesty and your wisdom, Dr. Reed.
Thank you for your company, Xiaoshu. Take care on the way home.
Maybe I'll see you again in Whitechapel. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye for now.
So many new graves. Why do I still... feel so disconnected from the others then.
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
What can you tell me about the recent events in the hospital?
That Mr. Hampton killed Miss Jones in her room, then ran away.
And did you see all this?
No. I was working by the tents when it all happened. I only entered the room when they asked me to clean up the blood.
Where is Miss Jones's body?
I don't know. I'd imagine the morgue. It all happened so quickly.
Did you see Sean Hampton leave the hospital?
I think I saw a silhouette exiting the hospital gates after the shouting started. At first I thought it was someone who was just scared, but... well, maybe it was him.
According to the report I read, your unprofessional conduct put a patient in danger, Gwyneth.
That's not true. I know when my patient's life is at risk, and I'm more competent than a lot of doctors that I know. Problem is, I'm a woman.
I don't see what your gender has to do with your abilities, nurse.
Yes, nurse. Because I'll never be a doctor, no matter what my skills. I could make a decision that could save a life, but oh no, that's unbecoming conduct.
Have you heard of Elizabeth Blackwell? She was the first woman listed on the UK medical register. Change is slow, but it will come. And you will always have my support.
To have the right to study shouldn't be determined by sex, skin, or wealth. That's all I'm saying.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Jonathan, my sincere condolences for your loss.
Your kindness is much appreciated, my lady.
Is there anything you require?
I spied my mother at the funeral. Have you ever revealed yourself to a member of your family?
No, Jonathan. And I'd advise you even from thinking about it.
Are we then condemned to lie to those we love?
We are creatures of deception, my friend. But this is more for their sake than ours.
But what if I was close to someone and wished to tell them the truth?
Fear, loathing, disgust. And then they will plead to be turned. They will see it as salvation. Then there's the risk of gaining the attention of vampire hunters.
Are we condemned to attend the funerals of all we love?
Dying is the final act of life, Jonathan. Present company excluded. Accepted.
I don't know what to expect. Am I cursed to an eternity of solitude?
With time, we Ekon tend to go into isolation. If we survive long enough, that is.
As a practitioner of the medical sciences, I'm prepared for the death of loved ones. But mourning in the shadows, deprived of sharing one's grief.
We are no longer a part of the circle of life and death. We are undead, my friend, and so we are outcasts.
Goodbye, my lady. Until we meet again. Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
Tell me why you're extorting money from some of the patients here.
If a patient wants a bed, he'll have to pay me a little fee. That's all.
Where did you get the idea for such an immoral scam?
Funny you should ask. The first time it was from a patient who bribed me to get a bed. It's only then I realized I could make a fortune.
Admit it. Nurse Hawkins is more than your lover. She's also your partner in crime.
Of course she is. How else could I tell which bed is free? I need to know that.
Have you no shame?
Don't you see this city is crumbling down? Today people are ready to pay to get a hospital bed. Tomorrow we may be fighting for food.
What's going on between you and Nurse Hawkins?
Pippa's tired. Tired of all this shit. Tired of all those corpses piling up. She's as depressed as I am.
During the war, I witnessed a few couples, just like you, come together in difficult circumstances. It can be very damaging.
Maybe you're right. But we support each other. And that's all that matters.
You do realize you could both get fired. Hospital staff are not meant to have intimate relationships with one another.
Come on, Dr. Reed. Do you know how many rules are broken in this hospital every day just to keep it running? There's nothing wrong with what we're doing.
Why do you have such a mediocre reputation among your colleagues, Milton?
Fuck them. Nobody knows the horrors I've seen since working here. This city was sick long before the epidemic, Dr. Reed.
I know it's a difficult task, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this not the job you are paid to do?
I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. We lack words. So excuse me if I don't look on the bright side of life.
Goodbye, Milton. Good evening, Dr. Tibbets.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
Nurse Brannigan has been recently accused of neglecting her professional duties. Tell me what you really think about it.
This kind of protest is nothing but elitist bullshit. I trust Nurse Brannigan with my life. She has what it takes to be a great doctor.
Do you really think she could be the next Elizabeth Blackwell?
Believe me, Dr. Reed, a time will come when skill and skill alone will determine who can be a physician and who cannot.
Goodbye, Dr. Tibbets. Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
Tell me, Thoreau, what's the real cause of your dislike for Dr. Ackroyd?
He refuses to admit that your blood transfusion technique is the only way to save Mr. Fiddick. I'm convinced we must use it.
What Dr. Ackroyd really said is that you lack the skill to perform this operation efficiently. Is there anything you have to say about this?
It's a false conceit. Dr. Ackroyd secretly envies your reputation. His jealousy blinds him. I'm not the real target here.
Did you know Dr. Ackroyd never reported your experimental research, despite the fact he doesn't agree with it?
Really? I didn't suspect he knew about my work. I must confess I am surprised.
Perhaps he thinks you should realize for yourself the danger of what you're doing.
See how condescending he can be? My God, he can be so irritating.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland. Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any news about my operation?
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Your medical report says you're not affected by the Spanish flu. What do you think of that, Mortimer?
Does it make me happy? Not in the slightest. If it was up to me, I would have left this place long ago. I know I don't belong here.
And why do you think you don't belong here?
I know the staff have more important things to do than look after me. There's plenty of patients here who need their attention.
Admit it, Mortimer. Your mother had you hospitalized here because you tried to kill yourself.
Yes, it's true.
All right, then. This is the first time we've really shared information about your case. Shall we call this progress?
Call it what you want, Dr. Reed.
But in the circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
You can trust me. I won't report you to the authorities. My one and only concern is your health.
I guess I should thank you, then.
Can I help you in any way, Mr. Goswick?
I wrote a letter for my mother. She was supposed to read it after my death. But I suppose she doesn't have to read it now.
I see. And is this letter still near the place where you tried to take your own life?
Yes. And I don't want anyone reading my last words. I mean, I'm still here. If you bring me back that letter, then perhaps we'll talk.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Like a book.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
I've read your son's medical report, Beatrice. It's not the flu or anything life-threatening. What has you so worried?
He was at death's door when he was brought here. I just want him to be better as soon as possible.
He's not out of the woods yet, you know. He might need to stay here longer than expected.
Take care of him then, Dr. Reed. People here only seem to focus on contagious patients. I worry my poor Mortimer will be neglected.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
What a blundering idiot.
Sure we're making a difference.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Such a pleasure to see you again.
Tell me the truth about your appointment as a medic during the war, Rakesh.
The regiment administration appointed me by mistake. I had to learn the job on the spot, sir. Very hard, sir, but I rose to the challenge.
You can't impersonate a doctor. You can't improvise a medical education. People could die at your hands.
You're absolutely right, sir. But as a field surgeon, it was more like being a butcher.
Do you believe you have really helped these people?
My ratings were within the averages of the regiment. I saved lives, Dr. Reed. Does that not say enough about triage and war surgery?
Do you realize how many soldiers died because of that decision? You should have refused.
Yes, sir. I swear I did, sir. But no one listened. When the first wounded arrived, I had to do what I could.
It is an unbelievable story, Mr. Chidana.
It was a time beyond belief, Dr. Reed. But I'm happy not to deal with the wounded. I prefer caring for the dead now.
Goodbye, Mr. Chidana. Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
On every street corner. The daily routine.
Giant morgue disguised as a hospital.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during my leave. It was an accident.
Tell me what really happened then.
I went with a whore in Rouen. Dead drunk I was. The hotel was a shithole. There was a fire that night.
Did you start the fire? Were you trying to avoid going back to the front? That's not uncommon, you know.
No. It's just that I was asleep when the flames reached the room. The girl was long gone. Bitch never woke me up. Left me to burn.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans, and it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
Reconstructive surgery has been very successful for some soldiers.
I don't want to wear a bloody mask for the rest of my life. I'd rather stay here and just be forgotten.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
You're disgust on every street corner. The daily routine.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
God protect us. You've got a leech in the hospital.
Yes, my hospital. My mission is to heal while you go about warring.
You've set the table for a snake. I wonder why there's venom in your food.
I'm growing tired of your song. You're a woodsman, McCallum, not a doctor. Return to your hunt.
Remember, I've a good nose for machinations. I can flare the scent at a mile. You can't hide from the guard.
Leave him, Jonathan. This is sacred ground. Neutral territory. And I just had the carpet cleaned. By the sacred stole, this is very bad news. Bad news indeed.
What happened?
The hospital has been attacked. We have injured patients, at least one dead and several missing. This has spiraled out of control. Even the most infirm are asking to be allowed to return home.
We cannot have the people lose faith in this institution. This hospital is their only hope.
Of course, you're right. But we cannot afford a public scandal. It would ruin us. We must restore order, and quickly.
You mentioned a dead patient. Who is he?
She, Jonathan. She was Miss Harriet Jones. I found her room like a slaughterhouse. Blood everywhere. The duty nurse is taking care of the mess.
Very well. I'll help you.
Jonathan, please. I can't rely on anyone else. And this concerns you as it involves vampires. Someone has taken advantage of our more liberal tendencies here.
In what way?
Jonathan, I may turn my head when you or her ladyship indulge, but I will not allow this place to become a nest for street feeders.
Please then, tell me.
Sean Hampton, the man we thought we'd saved at the docks. It seems he was infected after all.
So Hampton became more beast than man.
Exactly. And now Guard of Prewen suspects the hospital of vampire activity. Do you realize what that could mean for us?
Rest assured, I will protect you and your staff.
McCullum is a fanatic. The Guard will stop at nothing. You don't know what they're capable of, Jonathan.
Very well. Since I brought Mr. Hampton here, I will put an end to this.